Sanders, and we are continuing with our last week episode on how to overcome imposter syndrome and build self-belief, truly believing in ourselves. And I'm so glad we're continuing with this conversation so we can continue with those strategies on how do we build self-belief. Last week, we talked about setting achievable goals, right, as one of those things and celebrating those small wins. And this is just a recap so you guys know. We talked about positive affirmations. You can build self-belief by doing positive affirmations daily. We talked about seeking mentorship, right, to really help you push past imposter syndrome and build more self-belief. This week, I want to continue on with those strategies of building self-belief. And the next step into building self-belief is try to maintain a growth mindset. Really understand your growth mindset. And I think it's so important because with a growth mindset, you want to embrace challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. A growth mindset can transform your outlook on setbacks and failures. And so I think that's so important to talk about itself because when we think about a growth mindset and looking at those challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, I think that's key because we will look at something that we consider a failure. We consider that didn't work out. Let's just say that. And we'll look at that and we'll just say to ourselves, God, I wish I would have did things differently, or we just take it as something that's really a negative thing against us versus looking at something like, you know what, I'm going to learn from this, right? I'm going to learn from this setback. I'm going to see what things worked. I'm going to see what things didn't work. And you know what? I'm going to do better the next time. I'm really going to transform my outlook on what setbacks and failures look like. And I need to do that myself. That's why I tell you guys, anytime I do these episodes, it's not just for you. You guys, these episodes are for me too, because this is my own personal diary that I'm giving here of the things that I'm dealing with and the things that I'm struggling with on my own entrepreneur journey. So I know that some of you guys out there are probably experiencing it too. And we look at when things don't work out, we just look at it as like, that's when the doubt comes in, like, should I even be doing this? Like, what am I doing this for? But in turn, we should have more of a growth mindset and look at those as opportunities, ways to do things differently, ways to do it better. We already know what doesn't work, right? I think that's something good to do. We know what doesn't work, but to have a growth mindset and say that, oh, wow, this is an opportunity for me to learn. This is an opportunity actually for me to take this and maybe even share with someone else who might be going through this one day. I think we really need to understand things in that way for us to understand how amazing, how we can look at these things as great opportunities to set ourselves up for a comeback. So let's make sure we stay on a growth mindset versus just stand on something that is like not doing us well, not doing us good, that we continue to dwell on why it didn't work. We get so caught up in, oh God, I was just having this conversation with a friend the other day. And I said, you know what? The reason why I get that feeling of overwhelmed, of anxiety, of almost like being depressed is because I'm so focused on the problem. I'm so focused on why something didn't work out versus focusing more on what are the solutions here? What things can I learn from here to never put myself in this situation again, to never be back here again? But what are the solutions? What is the answer here? And I'm like, I'm not even focusing on that. I'm so focused on the problem. When we focus on the problem, that's where we begin to fall into that depression, that anxiety, and that feeling of like we cannot go on. And that's when we lack the motivation to even try to continue on this path because it's almost like, well, what am I continuing for? This didn't work out. I'm going to just stop. Stopping is not the key. You have to push past it. And I know sometimes we get in that place where we're like, okay, I'm stopping because I don't know which route to go. I don't know where to go from here. But the point of the matter is you need to go somewhere. You need to take some type of step because when you stop and you pause and you do nothing, that's when you begin to get stuck. And now you're stuck there and you're trying to figure out, well, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? How do I move past this? But now you're stuck somewhere. So now let's get into some strategies of getting unstuck. And let's tackle how we can do that. And some practical steps that they say we can take. Because like I said, I did my research and I had to do my research on this because I need some time to figure this out. And they do say taking a break and stepping away from work can provide the clarity you need. And it said, and I didn't mean say like stop and don't even do nothing, right? I just told you don't do nothing and you get stuck. No, they're saying step away from the desk, step away from the problem for a minute, go for a walk, meditate, do something you love, and then it will give you the clarity you need to come back and try to see your way through it. And I'm guilty of this, you guys. I'm so guilty of this. I will sit there and focus on the problem, focus on the thing that's not going right, focus on the thing that's happening versus focusing on more of what I can do to solve it, or either just taking a break from it. I feel like if I take a break from it, then I'm not being productive. Have you guys ever felt that way? And so this strategy of taking a break, taking a breather, walk away, go for a walk, meditate, do something you love, do something different, get on the phone with one of your friends, sit down and watch a movie that takes your mind off whatever it is that you're trying to tackle, whatever it is that you feel like you're trying to build yourself out of. Just move past it. Take a break. Take a break. If you want to take a break for a day, take a break for a day. But get back to it though. Come back with some clarity. Come back with something that you say, you know what, I can do this way instead. And then another great way they say it is to seek new perspective. And this is where the part I think is hard for a lot of us as entrepreneurs, and that is to share when we're feeling stuck. That is to share with others. Because we're too scared to share with people that we don't know what we're doing, that we're kind of stuck right now. But it's saying you need to talk to others and seek feedback. And you have to be open to new ideas. Because sometimes we get so, and there's another thing of being stuck, we get so stuck on our own idea of how things are supposed to go that we can't even see another path. And when another path is offered to us, we can't even recognize it. And that's one of those things of being stuck, because what you're doing is not working, right? And now you go seek someone else. Go ask someone like, hey, here's what I'm dealing with. What do you think? I'm going to tell you right now, a fresh perspective can reignite your creativity. A fresh perspective can really give you something new. It really can. And you have to be open to it, though. You really have to be open to it. Because if you're not, then you're just going to sit there and feel like your way is the only way it can work. And that is not true. We know that is far from the truth. There are so many ways things can get done. And we have to be open to seeking other people's perspectives and understanding that what they do and how they do it might be a way for me to do it. So we have to be open to that. And I think sometimes we get so close-minded when we want to share what we're going through other people. And then we get that kind of advice or a new perspective on something. We probably feel like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to do it my way. But if your way is not working, then why not try a different way? Next thing they say we can do of getting that feeling from being unstuck is to set new challenges for ourselves. Push yourself out of your comfort zone. And I'm guilty of this. I don't know about you guys, but I love to sit in my little comfy comfort zone, right? I really do. I love to sit where I know where I'm at. And that's that thing about a new perspective too, because somebody might come with a perspective where it might push you out of your comfort zone and then you're resistant to it. But new challenges can create a sense of excitement and momentum. It really can. And we need to really think about that. They really can do that. We can really set new excitement and new momentum if we push ourselves out of our comfort zone. When we push ourselves to achieve something that we're not comfortable with, we feel absolutely amazing afterwards. And I think that's something to be said when it comes to your journey as an entrepreneur. Pushing yourself past that can mean something really great for your life. It really could. And like I said on this show, I talk to so many entrepreneurs that have overcome imposter syndrome, that have overcome feelings of being stuck, right? I talk to entrepreneurs in tech. I talk to entrepreneurs in product or a service business, and they've all shared about how they all deal with that feeling. So one, I want us to understand that feeling stuck, feeling of imposter syndrome is not just us. Every successful entrepreneur has dealt with it at some point or some time. No matter how confident they tell you that they are, they've all dealt with that little voice in their head. They just might not express it to you. But we know that they've all have done it. And everyone that I've talked to has overcame it, has pushed through it, have found ways to push through it. and found ways to newfound success. So they looked at, and I can really tell you this with confidence, each person I spoke to on my show looked at their challenges as opportunities, decided to celebrate the small things that they've been doing to lead up to that great big success. They didn't discount everything that they've done just because they didn't achieve this one great thing. And I think that's important here. We have to remember that being on this road to entrepreneurship is a journey of highs and lows. It's highs and lows. You're going to feel confident at times. You're going to feel lack of motivation at times. You're going to feel lack of energy. You're going to feel confused sometimes. You're going to feel like I said, with the imposter syndrome, where you feel like, should I even be doing this? Do I even have what it takes to do this? That self-doubt is so real on this journey that we know it's a part of it. And having strategies and the tools, right? Life is only as good as the tools and the resources and the strategies you have to deal with it. And if we have the tools and the strategies that we need to deal with those pesky little voices in our head that tell us you're not good enough, that tells you that you're not going to make it, that tells you that what you have nobody wants, what you're offering nobody's going to buy, if we have the tools to deal with them, then we can push past it. Because I love that question of that. When those little pesky thoughts come up, you ask yourself, is this really true? Is this really true? That question alone really, I don't know, it gives me some kind of confidence. Like, is this really true? No, it's not true what I say about myself. Of course not. I'm much better than what I said and what I'm thinking at this moment. We're at that moment, we're just thinking about what's not happening versus everything that did happen. And like I said, I'm so guilty of this. So dealing with that imposter syndrome of feeling like I'm not enough. I can tell you a story where I remember I used to be on Clubhouse. And I started doing like a DIY for social media, like do it yourself, right? Teaching people how to use social media. And I remember I used to go into rooms, like Clubhouse was all audio based. And I think it's still around still, actually. But I go into rooms and you hear people get on the stages, right? Because they're virtual stages. And you hear people get up there and speak in front of these crowds of people that is in this room. It's all audio based. And I don't know what it is about speaking in public, even when it's audio and it's not even your face being shown, right? It can be very nerve wracking. But I'm listening to all these different people. And mind you, I was studying social media strategies. I've been building and I knew a lot of great strategies. I had great growth and I wanted to share. But when I got on in that room and I heard all these other people talk about it, and they sound so much more confident, so much more clear, it really made me doubt myself. It made me say, what are you doing in this room? You can't get on here and talk with these people. You don't have enough knowledge. You're not that experienced. Nobody's going to believe you. Who's going to believe you? Like, come on. Come on, Shaunie. Just get off. Just listen. Don't raise your hand to speak. And I can tell you I did that for about a few weeks, actually. And then I had to say to myself, but yeah, I do well in this. Like, come on. You got to remember who you are. Remember who you are. Remember what you have accomplished. Remember how far you've come. And so I remember the day I decided to raise my hand and speak, because in that conversation, they were talking about that feeling of not feeling good enough, imposter syndrome, and not feeling motivated. And I came on and I talked about my own experience of not feeling like I was even confident enough to even speak in this forum, to even say I have what it takes. And I said, you know what? I had to remember who I am. And I have these conversations all the time with friends that we have to remember who we are, all the great things we've accomplished. It doesn't matter where you are at this moment. You've accomplished some really great things throughout your life. So that doesn't stop just because right now you have a feeling of like you're feeling stuck or you're not sure. You can get past this. And so I had to remind myself of that. And once I reminded myself of that, I was able to speak in so many different Clubhouse rooms. And I was so confident. I didn't feel intimidated by anyone else who seemed to be a little bit more knowledgeable than me. Of course they are. Maybe they know. There's going to be people out there that know more than you. That's just a given. And that's okay. But what you have to remember is that you need to believe in yourself. Your own self-belief is what you use to be confident. It can either help you or it can be the worst thing that happens to you. Because if you believe all the negative things that people say or that your own mind is telling you, how are you going to get past it? How are you going to achieve anything great in life? We have to look at our challenges as opportunities for growth. Challenges as opportunities for growth, opportunities to learn and grow. That's how we deal. That's what is a growth mindset. Looking at everything that comes your way, good or bad, as opportunities for growth. And I love that. I think that's amazing. And it's something we all need to adopt. Have a growth mindset, not a defeated one, not one of lack, right? Not one of doubt, but a growth mindset. So basically what I'm trying to say is that doubt is going to come. There's going to be times where you're going to doubt yourself. There's going to be times where you're not going to feel the most confident, when you feel like you shouldn't even be in the room. But that's when you battle that thought and say to yourself, is this really true? Is this really true? Too often we look at people who have all these different accolades or letters behind their name and think that they're the experts on everything, where that's not true. An expert is just someone who knows more than you, just a little bit more than you. So that means if you know a little bit more than someone else, and that makes you an expert in it. That's all an expert is. An expert is not necessarily the person that has all the letters behind their name. That doesn't make people an expert. People learn in different ways. If it's your business and it's your product, your service, you are an expert at it. And you need to carry yourself as such. We all need to remember that. Because at this time right now in my business, in my life, it's been challenging. And I'm looking for ways to push past my own negative thoughts. I'm looking for ways to push past my own imposter syndrome. I'm looking for ways to push past my own lack of motivation to continue on and continue to do the things that I need to do. I'm looking for those ways myself. And so each time that I learn something new in the things that I'm experiencing, and I know other people might be experiencing them too, then I want to make sure I share whatever knowledge I have. I share whatever I learn, whatever growth tip there is, so that way we can battle this together and we can get to the end of where we want, which is to have successful businesses, residual income coming in, being able to live a life that we absolutely love. That's what we do this for. We want to share with the world. We want to be of service, right? We want to add value. And we also want to live a life that we absolutely love. We want that freedom. You want it and I want it. So let's go get it. Let's go get it together. Let's continue on this path of pushing past our negative thoughts, fighting against imposter syndrome. We all know the steps that we need to take. And I think is one thing that is good about listening to podcasts, reading and hearing someone else's stories, that you always remember that you're not alone. You're not alone in the way that you're feeling. Imposter syndrome and getting stuck are a part of the journey. They're part of the journey. Whether we want to believe it or not, they are part of the journey. But what's important about it is that you recognize these feelings and you challenge them and you keep moving forward. That's the important thing here. That's the key. You have to break the power, right? You have the power to break free from these limitations and truly believe in yourself. You have that. We each have that power to truly break all these limitations and believe in ourselves. We have that power. And so let's express that power. Let's go forward with that. Let's know that everything that happens in our life is all about how we think and how we feel about ourselves. So I really hope these two episodes really help you get on the road to really battling imposter syndrome and pushing past your fears and beginning to dig yourself or whatever you feel you may be stuck in. But also, I'd love to hear your stories about imposter syndrome. And so what I want you to do is that I want you to share your experiences and your tips with us on social media or leave a comment below, because that will really help. So because I think what it does is that it allows an opportunity to support each other in building an unshakable belief, because that's what we want. So let's support each other on our journey. That's what the Girl Take Note podcast is all about. That's what I do these episodes for, is for us to support each other on our journey, because it's important for us to build that community. So guys, listen, I want to thank you so much for tuning in into this episode of the Girl Take Note. I really hope you enjoyed this part 2 of overcoming imposter syndrome and building self-belief. So if you have enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. That really help us continue to bring you great content. So until next time, remember to take notes of your strengths and keep believing in yourself. We got this. I'll see you in the next episode.